because nothing costs $1 anymore. So you 2 pennies each time you go up $1. Louise, okay, you do the fucking math in your head. Welcome to Friday night edition of Late Night with us at Kandit News. We started relatively early tonight because we have a guest in studio and we've already kept him waiting for like almost an hour. We'll get to him. Special treat, our very first guest in studio, and we couldn't be happier about this because it involves animals, and I've got there is a heart in me, and it is generally for animals and not really for human beings. But there is a there's a story I wanted to tell you, and when I saw a picture of someone named Jesse James Cruz in the Pacific Daily News today, it reminded me of something. It was the day that I got out of jail last year. I believe the date was Saturday, April 28th, if I'm not mistaken. One of the very first things we did, Johnny, Josh, Temi, and I, was we went to Andy's car rental company, and it was because I had rented a car, and so long story short, I had some belongings in it. And so we went back to the car company, and you know, a lot of things, I'm just remembering these details now, and like my memory is like, okay, you know. And I just remember that there was this, there were a couple of Chuki's ladies and a kid that were there, and I never really thought about them until now, and they were, I guess they were renting a car, maybe they were returning a car or something. And I just had this moment today after realizing that scene in my head, that there was this life going on this island, and that there are so many people who sort of, maybe in the depths of their heart, they demand justice because maybe they don't have a voice or something, you know. And so I saw the picture of Jesse James Cruz in the PDN, and of course the PDN is just blowing this guy up because he looks, you know, emaciated. He's got a busted lip, and you know, there were all the meth jokes about the guy. And I'm not trying to excuse whatever his crime was or his behavior or anything, but we're so fast to judge people who look like him, you know, poor people who are just struggling with life, and yeah, whatever, right, with the bad things that they do. And then we don't even blink a fucking eye when the establishment, you know, when the publisher of the Pacific Daily News is guarding an editor named David Crisostomo, who was a drug dealer, dealing drugs right out of the PDN newsroom, dealing drugs out of the house of the federal public defender. No one's making fun of him. Yeah, we are gonna make fun of Jesse James Cruz, and you know, any one-tooth wonder who's a meth addict. Yet, you know, many of them are just struggling to survive, and then there are people like David Crisostomo who get to go to the Red Ball, and they get to dress to the nines and act like, you know, his shit don't stink. And Rendrati Limtiaco, the publisher of the PDN, who protects him. And today we are now 24 days brining that butterball turkey we call Rendrati, the publisher of the PDN. 24 days since James Hubert ran his car, his drunk ass, his Christine Calvo with beer, Christine Calvo without beer. I just love this thing. Oh, what the fuck this thing is called, or where we got it. This is from Johnny Girl. I love her. Anyway, so he runs his Christine Calvo drunk ass into the Akansa Mall, reverses really fast because he's Christine Calvo drunk, hits a bus stop. There's a person inside the bus stop. He's injured. and then tries to get it back onto San Vittorius Road before some like heroes stop him and say, "Get out of the fucking car. You're fucking drunk." He's the past chairman of the Chamber of Commerce and the best friend of Rindradi, the Butterball Turkey, Limtiaco, defender of all the criminals of the establishment who never go onto her paper, including 24 days now, James Hubert. Yet the establishment is gonna laugh at someone like Jesse James Cruz and not even give a second thought about those two Chukis ladies and the kid that was at Andy's rent-a-car, just trying to live their fucking lives. So fuck you, establishment. That's what this show is about, to give voice to people like them. I just wanted to give an additional emphasis to things like that because it was an emotional thought for me, and I'm hardly an emotional person. So when it comes to people, but I am very emotional when it comes to animals, and that's why our very first guest in the studio is my buddy Gabe Baker.
Have a day.
Hi. Thanks so much for coming. I appreciate it. Definitely. So Gabe just came from the Carlson Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Antigua. He was at the gym. It's called a gym, right?
Yeah, academy.
Oh, it's called an academy?
Yeah.
Can you just tell us a little bit about the whole jiu-jitsu thing? Can I do jiu-jitsu?
Anybody can do jiu-jitsu, actually, you know. I just actually came from teaching a kids class today, so it's pretty good, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty much, they consider it a soft art, but it's growing, it's big on Guam, actually. You know, yeah, there's a lot of jiu-jitsu, and it's actually nice to see that we have a lot of the kids, the youth is what's key, you know, because it's always about the future, you know.
Yeah. So what do they learn? Like, especially the kids, besides like how to defend yourself.
Yeah. About discipline, of course. Most of all, I mean, I get a lot of kids that are, very much disciplined. I'm very old school militant martial arts instructor, so I like militant. But at the same time, I do let them have fun. I joke around with them and whatnot, but they do understand that, you know, this is a martial arts studio, and you need to act as a martial artist. Yeah.
So, you know, back in my 20s and stuff, you hear the name Gabe Baker, and you're like, oh shit, that's a tough guy.
No, really?
Don't fuck with Gabe Baker.
No,
Gabe Baker, Buckeye,
no, that's back in the day, yeah.
Back in the day.
That's too old, yeah.
But then I started to see your advocacy for animals. Is there some event in your life, like over the last few years, where you were just this huge animal advocate?
You know, the funny thing about it is like it always starts with something, like you said, right? Something starts somewhere. And it was weird because my ex-girlfriend wanted to get a dog. She's like, I want to get a dog, I'm like, no, I don't want to get no dog, you know, just a lot of responsibility.
You weren't into dogs?
I like dogs, but I'm not into them, you know? I'm like, whatever, I wouldn't go over there and beat a dog, but, you know, I was like, oh, whatever. And then just one day, I picked up a dog, and I'm like, hey, you want him and stuff? And I wanted to make her happy too as well. And then that was my dog, Sheffy. Sheffy's my pit bull. And so I brought him, and she was happy, and he was like maybe like he was not even old enough to even be with us. We just took him from his mom, and God, we fell in love. And then I got Chief later on down the road. They're the same age, just months apart. Chief is my English bulldog, and primarily I'm English bulldog because Carson Gracie team is the bulldog logos. So I wanted to get something that represents the logo.
I have a bulldog named Libra.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You do have a bulldog. Yeah, that's right. I remember.
She can kill something.
Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, just those two. It started off with that, and next thing you know, it was just it's kind of crazy because I always feel it's about timing. And I always tell people, don't get a dog because it's about the fad, you know, because they got all these Frenchie styles, they got the English bulldogs and all these style dogs that are coming out there. And don't get me wrong, and they're beautiful dogs. But at the same time, it's like, it's about timing. Because now it's like my eyes are opened up differently, and I'm older, I have more time to be able to give to them. And so it just changed my view on all this animal stuff.
Boonie dogs are a lot smarter than.
Honestly, the Boonie dogs, man, you know, it's funny.
I have a couple boonies. They're way smarter than my dumb purebreds.
And trust me, they can eat a frog and they'll live it. They'll survive. The frog is beef jerky for them. But yeah, definitely. And so now I have 8 dogs. I end up saving Sheffy's mom. I took her in, and she's a pit bull as well, so I took her in. And I have the rest of them are all Boonie dogs.
And you just said saving. And you don't have to tell us about the story about saving. If you want to, you please do. But there's a lot of saving that needs to happen because there's a lot of animal abuse on this island. And not just animal abuse, but also neglect. And sometimes people don't even realize that their behaviors toward these animals is abusive or neglectful. But let's maybe we can get to ignorance later. Let's start with straight up fucked up animal abuse on this island. What have you seen?
I'd be honest with you, I always pray to God I don't see something in public. I mean, abuse to me is actually someone physically hurting an animal, and I always tell myself, "Oh God, please don't." And I see it on YouTube or I see it on Facebook. I'm not gonna lie, I'm fucked up. No, I'm not even a joke. I don't even know. That's like no joke. I'd literally get down and beat your ass. That's just what's gonna happen. I mean, it's just funny because I always tell myself, "Oh God, please don't let me have to see this in person," because I just don't know what I would do. That's just me, you know what I mean? Because I see it, and it's weird because yeah, I see my dogs and all these other dogs' eyes, and I feel like I love them so much, and I want to give them the best life that I can give them. And I think all dogs deserve that. You know what I mean? I think all animals deserve that. You know?
Cats.
Yeah, of course, cats too. I'm not a cat person, but hey, yeah. I feed cats at I feed fat cats in my academy actually. They're strays, but they just so happen to eat my stray dog's dog food. So I consider myself.
Cats are super smart.
Yeah, they're super.
Smarter than
They're survivors.
They're smarter than Paul Solomon.
They're survivors. Yeah, but that's what pretty much started it off and everything. But like I said, with animal cruelty itself, the one thing that's huge here in Guam is that neglect, and it's so funny because it's become so so normal. It's so normal. Like any of you guys can go out there and go to your neighbor's house. And this is what's crazy. You can literally go down the street and actually see a dog tied to a tree without no shelter. And that's part of the neglect area. But also, it's also a failure in education. Education part of it is really key. And I mean, we could attack them. And I've learned so much being a part of Gaines board and being part of the animal cruelty community. When I approach these people, a lot of them just don't know. And that's just years of seeing this. So when you're taught this way and you see this for years, you just don't know. So they don't realize like, oh wow, the mango tree is not good enough for shelter. No, you need to have a doghouse, or something like that's too hot outside, and it doesn't really protect them because Guam. Let's be real, the rain blows sideways. Yeah. So other than
it's like daggers.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people don't understand that they need to be sheltered. The rice pot, the old rice pot, with putting their food in the rice pot is I mean that's a container, but at the same time the rice pot pills, metal scrapes. And that's why a lot nowadays they use stainless steel bowls for animals or plastic, whatever. But just little educational thing.
Actually, I didn't know that. You're just teaching me something right now.
Really? Okay. Yeah, the metal bowl scrapes. So the funny thing about it is it's always the four. I call it the four things. The four things I look for, and it's always a failure to one or two of them. It's shelter, food and water, vet care, and space. When I say space, meaning like I see a lot of dogs with like 3 feet leads. And right now, I mean, you look at a lot. You can even go, and it's so funny because you can even go to any dog store, and they actually sell the shortest leash or shortest cable or chain they sell that's literally for a dog is 15 feet. They need space to move around.
To run, to expend their energy.
Yeah, exactly.
They're kind of like kids.
Yeah, no,
They
definitely.
Expend that energy, or they're gonna be little shitheads, right?
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna chew up everything, and you wonder why they chew up stuff because you're not letting them a chance to exert that energy out.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So it just needs space to
And
root.
that's a big part of their health.
Yes, exactly. And vet care. They need, like I said, vet care is big key. I mean, we're not asking it, and it's funny because you and I are both crazy dog animal people, and we're
Crazy.
not. Crazy. I mean, they sleep with me, so it's not about asking you to be the way we are. It's just give the minimal. You know what I mean? You have an animal, you have a pet, and I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, it's my guard dog." Okay, so you're your guard dog.
I think they're just saying that to act tough.
Huh?
They're just saying that to act.
Probably. Yeah. So they always say this is your guard dog. So your guard dog, when you say a guard dog or anything like even a security guard is supposed to protect your belongings and anything in your house, protect yourself. How do you treat the one that's protecting your house with no shelter, with no food? I mean, let's be real. I mean, this is a dog they're gonna have to get past or you're gonna hear them barking as an alarm, and you're not gonna even, not gonna treat them right. At least the basic.
I personally treat my dogs, or actually I treat any dog better than I treat senators.
Okay, I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it.
That's how much I love. And that's not saying anything about any love for any senator.
No.
But that's just how much I love my animals. They're my life. I don't have kids.
No,
They're my kids.
No. And it's so funny because I just started this one thing. I did it on Facebook. I'm pretty sure you saw my post because you're asking me about it. And a little funny. I did a little challenge with. I asked the public on my Facebook and my IG account that if anybody can come out and help me out with doing dog houses out of pallets, and I call it doggy duplex. And so it's so funny because I got so much feedback from everybody and whatnot. And I always say, and I'm horrible. Man, you know, the rule of working with wood is measure twice, cut once. I was measuring once, cutting twice. So yeah, tomorrow I don't follow directions really well. Even though you're telling me on YouTube was helping me out. And it was so funny because I learned so much from it. And now I can build a doghouse. But the reason why I did that idea was the fact of like anybody can do it. You know, I mean, here's this cheap wood. I mean, Home Depot, all these other companies are throwing these away.
It's free.
It's free.
Pallets are
Pallets,
free.
yeah.
Home Depot,
Everywhere,
Costco,
Kmart, everywhere. They're giving it everywhere. Yeah, they're giving it away. So here's these pallets, and it's funny because I'm not building it for my dog. I'm actually gonna give these dog houses away to someone dog that needs it. So I don't promise the owners. I promise the dogs. When I see like up in Nimitz Hill. I live in Nimitz Hill, so I drive by and I see the dogs without shelter. I'm like, I'm gonna get you a doghouse, and I'm gonna build it my own self, you know.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna build it myself, and I don't know anything about this, but I'm gonna put my time into it. And honestly, it's not work. It's not working when you have the heart to do it. You have the passion, and if I can do it for other people's dog, how come you couldn't do it for yours? That's the question.
I want to try that out. So I need to get a tan.
Huh?
I'm gonna work in the yard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start building some.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this shit.
Yeah.
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 That's okay. That's so cool. So we did this right behind you is a pallet.
Yeah.
Just all out of pallet
Yeah.
board, and well, we didn't steal that, but we got it from somewhere, the metal, whatever.
Yeah.
But the only other thing those are the only things that are not pallet boards. But the rest of it, that's just free pallet board.
You know, the funny thing was when I walked in, I know pallet wood when I see it. I'm very familiar with it.
Well, it's made of very like sturdy material.
Yeah.
It was hard to screw through some of that shit. It
It's
was
hard
like,
to pull that shit
like
apart.
redwood or something. Yeah.
That's how to pull that apart.
So, but thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
So you are a board member
Of GAME.
of Guam Animals in Need, and
Yeah.
we were having a conversation before we started here, and it was that things have changed quite a bit. So the criticism of GAME for many years was, leche. I'm gonna go there, and they're gonna deny me, or they're gonna ask me if, like for a billion things, a mansion and everything.
Yeah.
But that's changed, right?
Yeah, it's changed a lot. I mean, right now, you know, we got a great, and I'm actually happy to be a part of the board. I mean, it's so funny because it's like, and here's the next step, right? Being an animal lover and trying to going and working for or helping out with the Guam's only shelter, and we got a great board president. You know, Cyrus Lure. He's a whiz, man.
And he really helps with education.
Yeah, he really helps with education. He's my child, man. Like really, he's really good, and he's changed a lot of the shelter. Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna give it all the credit, but all the other staff members as well, all the other board members, everybody plays their role. We're very active. The committee is very active. Even at the same time, we have new staff members. Like we have our volunteer coordinator, our foster coordinator. Those are gems. I didn't even know. I mean, just now when you see there's so much adoption, so much people helping out, so much volunteer, it's gone up. Yeah. So it's just awesome to see. You know.
So if you go, and you don't even have to go to GAME
No.
in order to see these animals, you can see them on Facebook.
Yeah.
You can go to their Facebook page, go to Gabe's Facebook page,
Yeah.
go to Anand Babatis or Cyrus Lure's Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, people are sharing these dogs and
Yeah.
these cats as well.
Yep.
And they're cuties, you know.
Yep.
Like some of these, they have puppies. The old ones are. I have a soft spot for old
Yeah, that's
dogs.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but if you see one that you like online, you know, go to the animal facility.
Yeah.
Jigo,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you
They'll
go.
help you out there.
Yeah, you go up there and stuff, and it's so funny because a lot of times when I volunteered at the shelter, I'll sit in the shelter and I like to be the host. I mean, I'll go out there and flush the crap. I have no problem working. I'm not a lazy person, but I don't mind talking to the people because you get to communicate. And I'm a people person, so I go. You're not. But the funny thing about it is that when I go out there, people go there and initially think about what they want. You know, like, I want this, I want this big dog, and it's so funny because a lot of times they want this, but they always walk out with something different because. Yeah, something small. It's just funny because I always feel like the animal picks them. You know, what connects with them. You know, you come in there with wanting a puppy. You're like, oh, I want a puppy, but you don't realize. And it's so funny because yes, getting a puppy is great, and I got puppies too, but I've had my dogs as puppies. But a lot of times people don't have the time to do the puppy needs. You know, you're talking about walking in the house and you got shit everywhere. You know what I mean? So that's That's the curve of it. Yeah, exactly. Piss here, there, and there, and like, oh my God, the training stage. Do you have time for that type of thing? Do you have time? So here's these older dogs. They understand stuff like this. A lot of them, like right now, we have some great foster people in Gain that they actually take these dogs, foster them, and they train them. They train them to be potty trained, kennel trained and stuff. So you're actually walking out with a dog that's got some obedience on him,
Okay.
and it's an older dog, but it's trained, So you can automatically, in other words, if you're an active person, you like go hiking, you got a dog to go hiking with.
Yeah.
The next day.
And boonies are low maintenance.
Yeah,
Kind of
super low
they
maintenance.
don't need the aircon.
Yeah, they don't need that. They can hang out outside,
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't try to promote you put them outside, but hey.
And so if dad is like, no, we're not getting a dog or whatever, dad normally is the one who melts first.
Yeah, I'm
at a
with you.
puppy,
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Even he's like, God damn it, you better not get no fucking.
Yeah.
And then the puppy comes up and he's like, where did you get this puppy? What did you name this puppy? And I said, no, don't you get that. God damn it, you guys go to your room. You leave the puppy here.
Yeah. It happens, man.
It's like that, right?
Yeah, definitely like that.
So kids, sucker your mom into taking you to Gain, and don't tell dad. And then, well, kids, you shouldn't be watching this show late night because we cuss.
Yeah.
Take the family to Gain
Yeah.
to the animal facility.
Yeah.
In Chico, it is the turn right after.
It's actually
the turn to the gym.
gym,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if you're going north.
Yeah, if you're going north. Go there, take a look, and they got cats. They got a bunch of dogs out there that need a home, are looking for a home and stuff. And like I said, it's a great place to be. And a lot of people go there and I thank the public. The public, Gain doesn't function without our fosters. That's our keys. Our staff does a great job. Our volunteer crew, everybody's awesome. Like I said, Gain has changed. It's not the Gain from 1980. We're a different facility, and we're trying to. And it's so funny because we're actually pushing on to do the other things, other ideas that are popping up. I would share it with you, but it wouldn't be a surprise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before you go,
No. Yeah.
Can you please share with us an email address or a phone number or something where people can call to report animal abuse, or like if they see a dog fighting organization, or I know you're about to kill someone, if they see dog fighting or animal abuse or animal neglect.
Can I also say, he was talking about dog fighting, and it's so funny because I'm pretty sure they're Facebook people because I see it on Facebook, and a lot of people watch your show. There's people out there that goes to like all these. They have a lot of like dog places, like they sell their animals or whatever. Or, here you want to foster? I found this dog from this guy. There's a lot of. Can I cuss?
Yeah.
There's a lot of assholes out there that are asking for kittens and asking for puppies and stuff like that. And they show up on all these different little dog groups asking for these kittens and all these puppies. And so imagine this: one person or two people actually now we're on radar with them. They're asking for kittens and stuff. We're not dumb. The animal community is not dumb. We know you're using it for dog baiting, and it's not stupid. We're not. That's an old school.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's an old school tactic of using kittens and little puppies for baiting. So people that are out there that are having these kittens or having these puppies, and you got people that want to adopt them, and they're pretending to be nice people, and they have it. And it's weird because you got them all asking like, who needs eight kittens?
I will fucking cut a bitch if I
Yeah.
can.
And it's funny. So here, I'm talking to you, Facebook. This is a lot of people are watching us on Facebook. That you got to be paying attention to these things because although your heart took these animals in, or took these kittens in, you want to find them a great home. You're probably going to be sending them to their death. There's going to be some dog out there going to be gnawing on them. That's from a pit bull fighting kind of guy. And don't worry, pit bull fighters, we're going to catch you. We're going to catch
fuck you up.
Yeah. And it's by law. That's what's going to happen because, we're looking at certain angles with Gain as well. And
Thank you.
dogfighting is illegal, man. And it's illegal everywhere. And we're going to put in a reward on it too, because everybody likes to talk. So we're going to put a number, we're going to put a dollar amount on it too, and we'll announce that. And to catch these assholes because
Thank you.
that's the worst. And then just like I said, not just only the dogfighting itself, it's the fact of here you are, you have these innocent puppies and kittens going to be getting eaten up by these dog fighters.
I swear to God, I will cut it.
That's crazy. Yes, and so that's what's happening right now. I actually just got someone that sent me a message, showing me pictures of two people on thing. They're asking, hey, can you look into these people because they're going on to all these blah blah blah, and asking all these groups about kittens and puppies. I mean, who needs?
Did you report it? Too?
Huh?
Did you report it?
Well, we got to do a little sneaky deaky.
Oh, okay. Shh, don't say
But it's letting you know that we know. How much letting you know that we know who you are? There's two.
Allegedly.
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 Yeah. Letting you know. So in case you think you're sneaky, we're sneakier. Yeah, we're not that stupid.
In a very legal kind of way.
Exactly. Yeah,
We're
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Sneakier.
Yeah, exactly. But key thing I always say about animal awareness and everything like that. God, just minimal care. Minimal care for your animals is all we ask for. It's gonna be a little bit stiffer. Another thing is that, and it's so funny because everybody asks me about animal control. Animal control. What do we do? What do we do for abuse? Yes, there's steps to take. There's report it to your mayor's office, animal control, GPD. These are the three things. The hardest part about this is when you have, here's these first responders, we would call them. First responders not helping you. And that's the hardest part about animal cruelty, animal abuse, is that here these mayors are not trying to come out and assist you. There's a law being broken literally in front. And that's funny, the mayor's office actually drives by these dogs every day because they go around, picking up the coconuts on the road and shit like that. And then they see these dogs tied to the thing. But they're not saying, because like I said, it's a normal thing for people to see, which is ridiculous. And we're going to chop down on that kind of thing. And it's so funny because the mayor's office, it's about saving your people. I understand as a mayor, you're supposed to protect your village, beautify your village, beautify and talk to your people of your village. And you're going to let us come into your village, and people like myself working with animal cruelty, you're going to let us knock on your door, and you're going to be pissed off because of the fact of we're going to be harassing your village people and pointing out who's going to be who's the criminals. And there's a lot of animal lovers out here now. It's very different now. It's a very different time, Guam. It's not the 60s, it's not the 80s. They're just down the street, Didi's grooming. They're booked. You can't even get your dog in to take a groom nowadays. They got pet shops like Fetch and them. They selling biscuits and they're out there and they're still open. It's a different time. Wake up.
How about that whole build a wall? I'm going to build a wall so my dogs can run.
Yeah, for sure. No, definitely. But just take care of your animals, and gosh, call the mayor's office, and the more you call them, the more you harass them, they'll go out there and do it. I do it myself and call up the mayor's office and talk to them, but maybe because they know me already, because they're like, oh my God, let me get this guy.
I'll call for you.
Yeah, exactly. So call
People
the
love my
mayor's
live
office,
calls. Yeah.
call GPD, and remember there is a crime, and the funny thing about it is if you report it, you say animal abuse or animal neglect, as long as you get a case number, it's actually there. You can actually push it to the AG's office because it's already in the books,
Yeah.
So another thing to follow on Facebook if you can. And what we do is we try to help you out, educate you through the animal cruelty stuff. Is Guam Against Animal Cruelty on Facebook. That's our Facebook page, and I have a crew there that tries to help out everybody with educating and good stuff like that. We have a lot of future plans for animal cruelty in Guam, and we're going to try to change the island a little bit.
And we'll have you back, I hope, to talk about that.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure.
If whenever you guys reveal these secrets.
Yeah, no, we will. No, definitely. I just want to make sure we have our ducks in a row.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and everything is going to be active, yeah.
Thank you so much, Gabe.
Yeah,
I really appreciate your time.
No, thank you.
Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Huh? No, that's it.
You're good?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much. I
definitely.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you.
So, I promised Gabe I wouldn't smoke a cigarette until he was done, and so you better hold the fuck on because I need to smoke a goddamn cigarette. Jesus Christ, I feel good. So, earlier today, I'm hyped up about this part almost as much as I'm hyped up about the John Bell, Mike Phillips, and Joe Mann. We got a special appearance of Joe Mann, the Sea World Brown tonight. But before we get to that, I'm hyped up about something that happened earlier today with Janella Carrera and with Rose Farron, the treasurer of Guam. I was trying to get information for all of you regarding tax refunds. And so, there's the standard lines. Hi, Instagram. There's the standard line that the government gives about, tax refunds will be blah, blah, blah within 6 months, blah, 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 bullshit, right? And so I recognize the bullshit because I used to be in their positions. We were like the creators of the bullshit lines. So I called them out, And I wanted to ask, Rose Farron is the treasurer of Guam. She's not like the secretary of the cashier's office at the Department of Administration. She is the person on every government of Guam check. It has her name. I think it says Rosita T. Farron, if I'm not mistaken. So I was speaking with her live, and she said that, and I'm not blaming Rose, okay? But I know that Rose has the information. I was asking her for the amount of money that was in the tax refund savings account, the one that's the account where money is transferred when payments for tax refunds need to be made or about to be made into the tax refunds checking account. Both accounts are at the Bank of Guam. And so I was asking her for this information, and then she gets frustrated with me, and then she admits that the director of administration instructed all of the staff at DOA not to answer any media questions. And so I was like, oh, no, really? So I was like, that's a gag order. I said, so when did this instruction go out? And then she was really nervous after that, and then she had to hang up. So I called Janela Carrera, and we had a conversation about this. But let's play a snippet of the conversation first with Rose Farron, so you understand how that went. It devolved. Hi, Rose. This is Troy Torres with Kandit News. Kandit News.
Yes, I do for you.
Hi, Rose. I just want to know first that you're live with my audience, and I have questions regarding tax refunds. The director's office referred me to you.
I'm sorry, but you're checking on your own tax refund, or?
No. I have questions for the public regarding tax refunds.
I'm sorry, but that has to check it over to the director's office.
Well, the director's office directed me to you.
Who was the one that directed?
The person who answered the phone.
Who answered the phone?
I don't know her name, and it was because she said that the director left already before 5 p.m.
Yeah, since the director left, if anything that deals with, he has to answer it.
Well, I've been trying to get a hold of the director for the past 4 days, and he hasn't returned my phone call.
Oh, I'm sorry, but has to be answer your question.
Is there anyone at the Department of Administration who can answer questions about tax refunds?
Anything that you
There are 160 employees at the Department of Administration.
anything that deals with any public use, it has to be a director's office.
That's not according to the law. According to the law, the government's employees, if they're in a position to answer a question, have to answer the question.
Answer a person who, like, you're looking into the individual, nobody give it up, person that is not taxpayer.
Well, I'm not asking about any individual tax refund. I'm asking about the financials.
But you need to talk direct. That's all I can tell you right now.
So, okay, no one at the Department of Administration is going to answer.
No, they were all instructed that anything that we would speak has directed to me. So
Who made that instruction?
that's our director.
The director placed a gag order on the employees? When was that directive given?
So, sorry,
No. You just said an instruction was given to all the employees not to answer questions from the media because the director won't answer.
The managers are asked that if anything that they need or anything about tax, whatever,
Yes.
well, I just one handle it.
Yes, that's called a gag order. When was that order given?
Sorry, so you need to talk to them. I can't give you any further answer.
Ms. Farron, you understand you're the treasurer of Guam with a trust over the people's money, right? That's no one's money but the people's money.
Yes, but I cannot give you any. Okay?
Because of the gag order that your director placed on you.
Otherwise,
I'll call the governor's Farron office.
from
Thank
the
you.
Department of Administration, basically admitting that a gag order was issued at the Department of Administration, and I have a big problem with that, and so should all of you, because in her campaign for governor, Governor Leon Guerrero promised transparency. She promised there would be no gag orders. She promised full access by the media so that her administration could be held accountable. And that's what we were trying to get information on tax refunds. This is not even taxes we're talking about. This is people's money owed to them from taxes overpaid. So absolutely this information should be available, and the real-time account information should be available to the people. And that was even debated during the debates at the election. And so then I called Janela Carrera, who's the director of communications, under whose purview issues like transparency and gag orders would fall,
to tell her about this gag order, to see first if she knew about it, and then hopefully give us an answer that provides us some relief that they're going to remove Ed Burns' gag order over the Department of Administration. And this is how that conversation goes, and it's just going to piss you off. And because Ed Burns is on the office, which is another matter I'll get to in a second, she said she's unable to answer any questions regarding tax refunds. And so I challenged her on that because she should have answers regarding tax refunds. As the treasurer of Guam, she should have some financial information. And then she said that she was sorry that she couldn't answer any questions because there's a directive from the director for all of the employees not to answer any questions from the media. So that's a gag order. I wanted to know, since the governor promised transparency in her campaign, whether that gag order was cleared through Adelude.
I don't know what directive or order that Burns is issued or is issuing to his employees. But if you have inquiries relating to media inquiries, then I'd be happy to answer that. I'd be more than happy to answer them. If you're looking for tax refund, to give you the latest information. In fact, I had a release. I think you should have received it.
Yeah, the 377 that were checks that were mailed today, were they for tax year 2018?
They were for tax year 2017.
Yeah, so I think our viewers are more concerned about when tax year 18 refunds are going to start being paid. Goody Rosario said no later than the end of April, but if if the administration has information that would speed that up, we would like to know.
So that would probably be the latest information that we have as far as tax refund payments for tax year 2018.
And so the information I've been trying to get from the Department of Administration, from anyone at the Department of Administration, is how much money is in the income tax refund efficient payment trust fund, which is the checking account, and how much cash is in the income tax refund reserve account, which is the savings account. And no one's been able to answer those questions. Do you have those answers?
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, I did ask you for that the day before yesterday.
Yes, I did ask, and I did post the question over rather tax. I have not received a response yet. I will follow up about to find out that information.
So when I was, and technology has improved since I've been the director of communications. When I was the director, I was able to get that information quickly because all the director had to do was go into the system and look at the bank account, which is in real time.
Oh, you had that kind of access, or are you talking about?
No, when I was in your position, I was able to get that information quickly because the director of administration has real-time access to the government's bank accounts, which are at Bank of Guam. So, I mean, considering the governor might have access to the Bank of Guam, can someone? I'm kidding about that. Okay, can someone get us answers about how much money is in these accounts?
Yeah, let me follow up for you. I'll follow up. I did pose the question. I haven't heard back. But again, we are, as you know, we have a deadline. We're coming up on a deadline to submit our budget. So we are very busy here, but I will follow up on that question.
Yeah, I know what that deadline is, and the deadline is not until 6 months after the governor takes office that a new governor has to submit a budget because of the consideration that it is a new administration. It's a 6-month period.
Our deadline is April.
Your self-imposed deadline is April.
Well, that's our deadline.
Yes, just to clarify for our viewers. Now, back to this issue of a gag order, because that concerns me quite a bit. And I think it would concern the public because this is the single most influential department in the government of Guam, aside from the governor's office, is the Department of Administration. And we have just heard from the treasurer of Guam that there's a gag order on its employees to speak with the media.
Did she use a current gag order?
No, she said that they were instructed not to speak with the media. So that's a gag order. So Will that be, now that the governor's office is aware of that, will the governor's office instruct Mr. Byrne to rescind his gag order?
Well, first of all, there's no gag order.
No, it's an instruction not to speak with the media is a gag order. That's all a gag order is.
If an employee is unsure how to address a question or how to answer a question, then they probably would rather have either directors or have questions directed to the media.
But Janella, I wasn't speaking with the director's secretary. I was speaking with the treasurer of Guam. The person who has the answers about the accounts.
Right.
She's the person who presses the button and money gets loaded from one account to the next.
Okay.
And she couldn't answer this question because she was instructed not to. My question to you is, because the governor has promised transparency, will the governor's office instruct Mr. Byrne to rescind his instruction to not speak with the media? Janella, they haven't provided information in 4 days, and they will not provide information because Mr. Byrne told them not to. So they are withholding information, and I have viewers who are waiting for this information. What do you mean they're not withholding information? You guys are absolutely withholding this information because we don't have the account information. We don't have the amount of money that's in these two accounts, and we've been asking for 4 fucking days.
Troy, please do not yell at
Janella,
do not press it.
I don't really give a flying fuck about anyone's feelings in this because
Okay.
my viewers are just looking for information.
If you are going to respect this conversation, okay? If you're going to cuss at me and yell at me, I'm not going to talk to you.
So you're gonna gag the media as well.
I'm not gagging the media. I refuse to talk to people who are going to yell at me and treat me that way, okay?
Well, why don't you treat the people of Guam with some respect and provide them with information?
I do my best to do that.
No, because you guys are not providing the information. How is it that this information exists in real time on a bank account screen, and for 4 days you haven't been able to provide this information?
Like I said, I will follow up.
All right. That was Janella Carrera representing the administration and being full of shit. That was them not wanting to answer questions about tax refunds. And what makes it even more full of shit is that I know that their cash flow model is showing a significant bump in revenues on April 17 and April 18. And so they have answers about tax refunds flowing out after April 17. What we really want to know is how much is in the bank right now and how much can they afford to give in tax refunds now? Because sending out 377 checks is fine for those 377 families who filed for tax refunds sometime in October last year for tax year 2017. But what people want to know, who've been filing since January for tax year 2018, is when the fuck is that going to start? And how much? What is our financial situation so that we can understand whether tax refunds are going to be? People need a plan, okay? Poor people, people who struggle, people who are trying to make ends meet, they need to understand what they should expect. And their tax refunds is a big part of that. And yes, you can say they can adjust their W, blah, 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 whatever. I don't understand any of that shit. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Okay, all I know is I'm supposed to get a tax refund, and I filed on this date. And so government, the public servants, why don't you give us a fucking answer as to when those tax refunds are coming out? And don't fucking snowflake about when people ask you the tough questions, and they're not even tough questions. These are simple questions that deserve simple answers, just straight up to the people of Guam, and they won't provide that. It's becoming more and more disappointing, straight from the governor's office. More and more disappointing as the days go on, and the fact that there's a gag order at the Department of Administration is something that we all should be concerned about. It is the most powerful department within the executive branch. It is the department that controls all of the cash and all of the human resources and the procurement. And there's a gag order that exists there right now, and Janella is defending it, and she's the director of communications for the governor. That is a big problem, and I hope Governor Leon Guerrero hears this. I hope Governor Leon Guerrero hears your concerns, removes that gag order, and then does something about tax refunds. And I hope she also does something about the Port 7 case and the fact that Attorney Mike Phillips is still the legal counsel over at the port, despite all of the evidence that shows his criminal activity. I hope that something is done over at the Department of Labor to protect Joanna Lynn Fullerton from the harassment that she's been receiving from Attorney John Bell, who was the investigator and then the attorney in the Port 7 case early on. And I hope something is done to build a holding tank at the Department of Corrections for when Joanne Brown is arrested and has to go to jail because she needs somewhere to swim, as like big enough for a whale, you know. She needs living quarters. No, there's no place in the male detentional facility for him, you know, like we can't call Ghostbusters, you know, and like press on one of those like little devices, and then the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man all of a sudden like disappears into all 4 devices, you know. It's not like Joman Busters. So okay, tonight we're following the money. On the main part of our show, John Bell is a twat. Part 4, we're actually going to talk about the twattiness of all the main players, because, you know, if you watch SVU, you know, Law and Order, SVU, or like CSI, or any of that, you know, that trashy shit that I'm addicted to, you always know that a criminal has a motive in order to commit a crime. So what was the motive for all of these people? What was Champ Calvo's motive to want to get rid of the Port 7 and Bernadette Meadow and Vivian Leon primarily? What was Eddie Calvo's motive? What was Mike Phillips' motive? John Bell's motive? What was Joe Man Brown's motive, right? Well, for some of them, the answer is very simple. But for all of them, it's the money. So Champ Calvo needs to get rid of Vivian and Bernadette, because right before they were fired, they were investigating and about to crack the case on YTK. And YTK is that thing that Champ Calvo owns that currently is under settlement talks for $17 million in cold hard cash that would go to Champ Calvo, who purchased YTK for something like $500,000 or something. So it's a significant capital gain. Okay, that's exactly what that is, Champ Calvo. And well, what do you know? They owe that much in settlement taxes at the Department of Revenue and Taxation. They don't have any money because they're broke, by the way, because their assets are frozen and they're about to run into bankruptcy. So that's Champ Calvo. Eddie Calvo needed to get rid of his political adversaries. He needed to protect his cousin Champ. They needed to get that money. And there are actually other financial reasons. We don't have to get into the weeds of all that. Well, they needed to make sure that the beer came in for Christine, you know, otherwise she'd be unhappy. For Mike Phillips, well, shit, I don't think anybody has benefited more financially from this Port 7 thing than Mike Phillips. Over a number of years, he has racked up $7 million in legal fees paid to him by the Port Authority of Guam just on this case alone, just on the Port 7 case. It has been to his benefit to prolong this thing and to go to every single civil service meeting, to apply for every stay, to fight this all the way to the Supreme Court of Guam, you know, and have it remanded to the Civil Service Commission and the Superior Court. This guy has benefited financially. I'm not sure that any law firm has racked up that much in legal bills in such a short period of time as the law firm of Phillips and Bradallo throughout this entire government. We'll check into that, but I think it's probably by far the most. And then there's John Bell. John Bell, who during his time as an investigator racked up the bills as well. It's a money motive for him. So what was Joanne Brown's? What does she want? But before we get to that, I want you to hear not just what I have to say, but people who are people who don't cuss, you know, people who don't have like bad vices and like haven't been, you know, kind of fucked up. Someone like the good senator, heroin, not the drug, Governor Mary Torres. Let's hear what she has to say.
All the while, he would have everyone believe that he did Guam a favor, that he cleaned house and uncovered a criminal conspiracy to defraud the government by the Port 7. Just step back for a moment and think about this supposed grandiose scheme he uncovered. He would have you believe that 7 unrelated employees, many who were recently recognized for their outstanding service to the port, would risk their livelihoods and unblemished careers to permit one employee to have spine surgery for an incident that no one disputes occurred, with the majority of funds earmarked to pay for a surgeon and off-island hospital expenses? What would these employees gain by engaging in this grand conspiracy? How absurd a plot, even for a cheap detective novel.
That's Governor Mary Torres. Why would these conspirators push so hard and so aggressively? Why would they threaten witnesses, tamper with public records, slander people, trying to sway public opinion? Well, money. It's always about money. For people like this, for greedy ass people in the establishment, it's always about the money. It's always about the power, but the power is always about the money. It always comes back to the money, and there's a paper trail. So let's talk about Joe Man Brown. And you know what? Joe Man needs a lot of money in order to feed her fat ass, okay? Like, it takes a lot of krill to feed a whale. And you know those jet puffed marshmallows? The bag of that, just one bag of that is like, what, $2.99 or something. Imagine a Joe Man size bag of jet puffed marshmallows. How many Rice Krispies treats you can make. Think about that. The cost to Joe Man Brown's daily, you know, like lunch is extraordinary, people. Okay? So for Joe Man, it's just like anybody else. It's about the money. It's about her ability to eat. The man needs to eat. In just a few short years, in a 6-year period, between the time that Joe Man was appointed in an emergency meeting of the Port Authority on December 10, 2012, to the end of the Calvo administration on January, whatever that was, of this year, Joe Man Brown received 7 different pay raises, and she received pay raises during a time when increments were frozen at the Port Authority as well. Do we have the graphics running? Huh? Do we have the graphics running? Stand by, give me 1 second. Increases in salary. Sorry, I said 7. 7's the number of years. My coworkers are like, 12, bitch, it's 12. Fuck. Sorry, okay, I made one mistake. Jesus Christ. Miss verify over here. So, in a 6 to 7 year period, Joe Man received not just an additional 12 notches on her belt, but 12 pay raises in a 6 to 7 year period. This is definitely more than any employee the Port Authority has received in that period, and it was during a period when increments were frozen as well. She started, the effective date of this personnel action for Joe Man was December 14, 2012. The effective date was December 12, 2012, but the action was written on December 14, 2012. And we're gonna look into that because there's something fishy about that 4-day period. But she was hired as the deputy general manager in this 4-day period at a pay of $101,870 per year. That is just the base pay. That doesn't include the benefits and all that shit. And as a career employee, and I'll get to that in just a second, as a career government of Guam unclassified employee, Joman is being paid a lot in retirement. And then 9 days later, the effective date, December 19, 2012. I mean, it was a Merry Christmas for Joman. As all those employees were getting fired, she became the general manager of the port. And her salary jumped from $101,870 to $114,982 per annum. And then an adjustment was made, signed off by Daniel J. Tidinko, Chairwoman, Board of Directors, Port Authority of Guam. This was during that 9-day period. They felt it necessary on the 4th day to increase her deputy general manager's salary from $101,000 to $111,000. And then on the 20th, that's when she got that personnel action. They bumped her up in the personnel system from an R4A to an R4D, from $114,982 to $118,467 on the same day of that personnel action on December 20, 2012. You know what's funny about this, and I didn't even see it until now? This adjustment in her salary was retroactive by 4 months. It was dated by Daniel J. Tidinko, Chairwoman, on April 23, 2013, but for pay that would begin December 20, 2012. We'll look into that as well. Another pay adjustment. And then on October 11, 2013, this is interesting. This is another instance of a 4-month lag. The effective date is 4 months retroactive to the date of this personnel action, but it gave her retroactive pay increase from $118,467 to $124,510. And then on January 21, 2014, another personnel action was cut, making a retroactive pay increase by 1 month. The effective date is December 19, 2013, raising her pay from $124,510 to $130,861. Now, I realize that the price of groceries always, fucks with us over at Payless, okay? Because the Cowboys are trying to, but there is just no way that the price of goods went up by this much in a 1 month period. This bitch was getting pay raises way beyond the rate of inflation. It's way beyond her own, personal cellular inflation as well. Jesus Christ. Then, holy shit. On May 13, 2015, the port issues, and this one is now signed by Francisco G. Santos, Chairman, Board of Directors. On May 13, 2015, the port issues a personnel action retroactive by 6 months to December 19, 2014, increasing her pay from $130,861 to $137,536. I could have sworn that the legislature during this period made retroactive pay raises illegal. We'll check into that. And then Another retroactive increase from dated, signed by Francisco Santos, Chairman, Board of Directors, a personnel action cut on February 4, 2016, retroactive to by 2.5 months to December 19, 2015, raising her salary again from 137,536 to 144,552. Jesus Christ. One of the highest paid, definitely one of the highest, like probably the third highest paid official in the government of Guam by this point. The highest being the chief medical examiner, followed by the president of the University of Guam, and this, by this time, she would be the highest paid administrator within the government. And then, on October 25, 2016, another personnel action retroactive to October 1, 2016, raising her salary from $144,560 to $149,344. Her hourly rate, $71.80. And this is funny. Signed by Felix Pangilinan, the acting general manager. It was signed by her underling. It wasn't signed by the chairman of the port board. And then another retroactive increase in pay on January 9, 2017, effective December 19, 2016, from $149,345 to $156,963. Signed by Oscar Calvo. Oh, that fat fucking slobby fuck. He's so fucking dumb. Oscar Calvo is a dumb, fat fuck. I don't know how the fuck that guy... I don't even know how he wipes his ass. He's so dumb. Oscar Calvo, vice chairman of the board of directors, effectuated that personnel action for Joe-Man. They swim in the same tank, but Joe-Man probably runs circles around him because Oscar's just that fucking dumb. And then this one, the nature of this action is now called a salary increment, not a raise. Issued February 6, 2018, retroactive to December 19, 2017, raising her salary from $156,963 to $164,970. You know, if it weren't for the dollar signs in front of these numbers, I would think these were her annual increases in weight. And then again, holy shit, man. And then again, Joanne Brown signs a notice of personnel action for herself on September 24, 2018, effective September 16, 2018. And that's that's better in terms of retroactive, but still retroactive, probably illegal. Raising her salary from $164,964 to $169,977.60, capping her hourly rate at $81.72. Joe-Man, not only is she fat, but she's also old. She's on the old retirement plan, which means that prior to her retirement, retiring from the government of Guam, I see, on the DB plan, and in her final personnel action, it says, yes, retirement, DB. She cashed out at a rate of $81.72 times 320 hours, a lump sum payment made for the accrued annual leave to the employee's credit. Cashes that out, signed by Francisco G. Santos, Chairman, Board of Directors. And then her highest three salaries, so the $169,977 plus $164,964 plus $156,963. The sum of those three numbers divided by 3 to produce the average, 80% of whatever that average is what she will receive per annum for the remainder of her life. And since she's on the old plan, her spouse, whoever that poor soul is, would receive the pension death benefit. It's all about the money, folks. They did it for the money. They all played their part so that they could get the money they wanted, have the lifestyle that they wanted, be able to buy all the food that they wanted at Payless. She got 12 pay raises. She started at 101,870. She ended at 169,977. She cashed out a huge lump sum at $320. You know, we all know that attorneys have an obligation to provide advice that's in the best interest of their clients. What they're not supposed to do is to provide advice that allows them to continue providing advice so that they can charge you per hour. That's misconduct. That's unethical in its grossest forms, and probably why there are several ethics complaints against attorney Mike Phillips right now. He's an officer of the court. So is attorney John Bell. They're both officers of the court. They're subject to the same ethical rules and standards that all the other attorneys are. He's zealously appealing rulings in the Port 7 case for no good reason, for no reason that he is able to promptly and efficiently explain to the public. He's violating all kinds of rights, all kinds of shit. This is a classic example of the tail wagging the dog. You know how, like, when a dog, and we're just talking about dogs, it's so cool. You know how when a dog walks, right, its tail wags behind it, but the dog is leading the way. So it's the main body, right? But in the political world, it's very possible for the tail to wag the dog, meaning what was supposed to have been following now is leading. The attorney in this case is supposed to be following the port's lead, but despite how in reality the dog is what leads, it's the tail that's leading, the attorney that's leading, and leading for the benefit of the attorney, so that over the past 7 years the attorney could rack up $7 million in legal fees, and everybody is complicit in it because everybody gets their cut of the money. You know, Joe Mann gets to retire at 80% of the average of her highest 3. You know, she gets to live that cush life that she wants. But for Mike Phillips and John Bell, I mean, come on. What is it exactly, right? What is it exactly that people in the Port 7 were supposed to benefit from? And Mary Torres very eloquently says this in her testimony during Dan Tidinko's hearing. She says there was this workman's compensation claim where most of the $70,000 or $77,000 was going to go to pay for the surgery itself and for the doctor's fees and the travel. Bernadette Meno wasn't going to benefit anything. She just needed to get her back fixed. And what did Vivian Leon have to benefit from helping Bernadette Meno to fix forms or whatever? Nothing. She would have benefited nothing. Neither did any of the other 5. It's not like these are Calvos. They didn't have lots of money to promise each other if they would develop this elaborate scheme. And for what? For what purpose? These are just bureaucrats, merit-based employees. It's ridiculous. Bill padding, fraud, all this shit. Wait, hold on. Let's just hear it. Because a long time ago, back in 2012, Mary Torres predicted all of this. So let's go to that video. I want you guys to see that.
And consideration. Counsel insisted that it was important for him to prepare a summary, but that he would also prepare the NPAAs. On December the 4th at 5:42 p.m., I received legal counsel's supposed findings of fact and conclusions of law, which were filled with inaccuracies, distortions, and poorly reasoned legal conclusions. Legal counsel did not even bother to interview me or seek clarification on any matters. The findings of fact and conclusions of law were obviously drafted with the intention of reaching a predetermined result, which was not surprising because the employee who was seeking workers' compensation was perceived to be a political enemy of the governor, allegedly responsible for altering the Calvo-Tenorio platform known as Blueprint 2020. In fact, the Chief of Staff directly told me that this entire exercise was all about getting this employee fired, and that I, in his words, was collateral damage. One example of how council bent or ignored the facts to reach the results he wanted is that council accused me of approving employees' leave since July of 2011, ignoring the fact that I did not start working for the port until February 2012. Many of the material events, including the accident which gave rise to the request for worker compensation, occurred in September 2011, 5 months before I joined the port. I did not have personal knowledge about the accident, since I was not at the port at the time. I also did not have personal knowledge as to how the port initially responded to the accident. As in many things which happen at the port, especially things which happened before my arrival, I have to rely on information provided to me by other managerial employees and subordinates.
Which camera? If I liked weed and if I had a joint, I would spark one up for Mary Torres, who should be the governor, because that was 7 years ago. That was when that was her last day as a cabinet member under the very powerful Calvo administration. And that woman stuck by her gun. She stuck to principle. She had a backbone. She had a fucking spine. And she stood up for what was right. And there she was, transparent, providing answers, asking questions, doing it all publicly in the light of day where cockroaches had spread when the light came. And she was there. She refused to fire those employees because she knew it was wrong. And she did the right thing. And for so many years, she was crucified by the Calvos, by Mike Phillips, Joe Man Brown calling her criminal. And now that all of this is being exposed, all of this is coming to light, it's time that this island looks at Governor Mary Torres and say thank you for standing up for people when it wasn't convenient to stand up for them. Thank you for doing what was right when what was right wasn't popular back then. Thank you for taking a stand and for putting yourself out there. We need more people like that. We really do. So bravo and light it up, everyone, for Mary Torres, because she did what was right, and we hope to hear more from her in the years to come. And hopefully this whole issue comes to a good close with some people in handcuffs. And it shouldn't be the Port 7, it should be the people who conspired against them. So until tomorrow, good night, hafa day. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and that's all.